Ask an AI the exact same question twice, word for word, and you can get two completely different answers. Same model, same prompt. You changed nothing at all. A calculator never does this. Type 2 plus 2 1,000 times and you get 4 1,000 times. So why does an AI feel more like a slot machine than a calculator? The answer is baked into the way it produces a single word, and once you see it, a whole pile of weird AI behavior suddenly makes sense. This one trips people up because we expect computers to be deterministic. Same input, same output, every time. That is the deal with almost every program you have ever touched. Language models quietly break that deal, on purpose, and understanding why is one of those small ideas that genuinely changes how you use them. Here is the root of it. When the model goes to write its next word, it does not pick one word. What it actually produces is a whole list of possible next words, each with a probability attached. After the words "the cat sat on the," it might come out with mat at 30%, floor at 12%, couch at 9%, and then a long tail of thousands of other options with smaller and smaller chances. That full ranked list with all those odds is the real output of the model. A single word is not. So the model hands over this spread of options, and now something has to choose one. And here is the surprise. It usually does not just grab the word at the top. Instead, it rolls a weighted die. Mat has the best odds, so it wins most of the time, but floor and couch still get their turn in proportion to their probability. Every single word in the answer gets chosen by one of these little weighted rolls. Now string a few hundred rolls together, back to back, and you can see how two runs of the very same prompt can drift down completely different paths. How random those rolls are is controlled by one dial, and it has a name you have probably seen: temperature. Turn the temperature down toward 0 and the die stops being fair. It piles almost all the weight onto the single most likely word, so the model goes nearly deterministic. Same prompt, same answer, steady and a little boring, which is sometimes exactly what you want. Turn the temperature up and the die flattens out. The less likely words start getting picked more often. The model gets more surprising, more inventive, and more willing to wander somewhere unexpected. Picture it as two settings of the same machine. Low temperature is the careful, repetitive one. It almost always says the safe, expected thing. High temperature is the loose, inventive one. It reaches for the unusual word, takes risks, and lands somewhere brilliant or somewhere nonsensical. Most chat assistants sit somewhere in the middle by default, warm enough to feel natural and varied, not so hot that they fall apart into gibberish. That comfortable middle setting is precisely why your answers feel a little different each time you ask. There is one more wrinkle worth knowing, because it catches even seasoned developers off guard. Turning the temperature down to 0 gets you very close to deterministic, but not always perfectly. The model runs on huge banks of chips doing billions of tiny calculations in parallel, and the order those finish in can shift by a hair from one run to the next. Those tiny differences can occasionally nudge a near tie between two words onto the other side, and the whole answer forks from there. So even at its steadiest setting, one of these models is rarely as bolted down as a calculator. It is built from probabilities at its core, and probabilities have a way of leaking through. Now you might be thinking, fine, just turn it down to 0 and make the thing consistent. But here is the catch. This randomness is a feature, not a flaw. If the model always grabbed the single most likely word, it would be painfully repetitive. Ask it for 10 taglines, and you would get basically the same safe one 10 times over. Ask it to write a story, and every story would crawl down the same worn groove. That little bit of dice rolling is where variety actually comes from. It is the room the model has to surprise you, to brainstorm, to hand you a genuinely fresh angle on the second try. The unpredictability you are complaining about is the exact same mechanism that makes it feel creative. To feel why you would ever want this, imagine the opposite. A model frozen to always grab the single most likely word is running what is called greedy decoding, and greedy text is grim. It loops. It collapses into the most generic phrasing imaginable. Ask it to name a startup, and it reaches for the blandest, most probable name in existence every single time, because that is literally what most likely means. The moment you want it to write, to ideate, to sound like a person instead of a stuck record, you need it to sometimes take the second or third choice. The little gamble is not a defect bolted onto an otherwise clean system. It is the thing that makes the output worth reading at all. It also explains a habit you have definitely picked up. You ask something, the answer is not quite right, so you hit regenerate, and the second one comes out better. You did not feed it any new information. You just rolled the dice again and happened to land on a better path. Same prompt, different sample. Power users lean on this constantly. When an answer is off, sometimes the smartest move is not a longer, fancier prompt. It is simply another roll of the same one. So when you actually want it to be consistent, what do? If you are working through an API or a developer playground, you turn the temperature down towards 0, and for many setups you can also fix a seed, which locks the dice to the same result every time. In a normal chat app you usually do not get those knobs directly, but you can still nudge it. Ask for the answer in a tight, structured shape, give it less room to roam, and it will vary far less. And flip the whole thing around when you actually want variety. If you are brainstorming, lean into the exploration, ask for 10 genuinely different options in a single go, and let the randomness work for you instead of against you. The real shift is to stop treating the model as a fact lookup that should hand you one correct answer and start treating it as a sampler. Every time you press enter, you are not retrieving the answer. You are drawing one sample from a cloud of answers the model considers reasonable. Sometimes that cloud is tight, and every sample looks basically the same, and you can trust a single reply. Sometimes the cloud is wide, and the samples scatter all over the place, and you really should roll a few times and compare before trusting any one of them. So the same question giving different answers is not the model being flaky or broken. It is the model doing exactly what it was built to do, rolling a weighted die at every word with a temperature dial deciding how wild those rolls get. A calculator gives you one answer because there genuinely is only one answer. A language model gives you a sample because it is working with possibilities, not certainties. Once that clicks, you stop being thrown by the variation and you start using it on purpose. And that is what we do here, one clear idea at a time.